Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Grace. It's Attorney Chronicles. Last episode, we were able to get to the trial. We did our first summation, examination. And yeah, now we're back to questioning the witnesses, so let's continue. Alright. Various machine. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear, but hold up, I'm adjusting my body. There we go. Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. He fit us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw Mr. McGill stabbing that man. Everything I said before Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger, conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend, never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cosenage. Beppo, explain yourself! I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board, you know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? This is so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty. Okay. You have been dishonest, coachman. I'm sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo. Disgrace. Stop. He's already dead. Stop bullying him. In your selfish actions, I brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. We're bullying the taxi driver because he couldn't pay them correctly. But it's cold, sir. I don't give a shit if it's cold. I had to smack you across the face. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings have already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. Time to press. Various misgiving. There's 5 statements. Hold it. So, there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, and you didn't charge them with the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was so cold I was about to stop myself from passing out. I'm getting chill brains just listening to you. It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for keeping the bus running. Feels bad, man. Don't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger? You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night, then we would have another suspect. Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you I did. A flat 5 fare of 5 pence across the board. It's something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you desperately needed, it's gone, dead, and buried. I'll have been happy if it ever existed in the first place. This blood currently in sight, you mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir. A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man at the moment his life is taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. Goodness gracious, really? We have another witness who did, however, the banker who has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. Heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of the breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw the horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, was sitting next to him? That's what I said! That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There has been much talk of a fifth passenger. As yet, zero evidence. Then what are we wasting this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. Oh yes, he stabbed him. Yes, okay. Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife as an ice-pick grip. I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe. What's this? What's this? I'm quite sure most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck. I expect that was me, sir. That's when I turned around. Yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking up of his midriff. Oh, that's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all? I really thought I did, but when I go over it in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stab. Huh? What the? Excuse me? Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some info from him if I answer him cleverly. Did he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? Some days are like that. Well, no chance, no deal. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight at the top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping, I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. I saw what I saw. I remember as clear as the Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me, I was getting a little hard on your collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that, alright. I'll tell you how grim it was. Do you think I forget the sight of blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed the man? Blood-soaked? Ahem. Well, perhaps soaked is laying a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them are covered in it. And you saw that from the roof, through the skylight. Well, the skylight's reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. And there was a lamp on inside the carriage as well, so I'm quite sure of what I saw.
This banker's latest statement. I feel sure there's something not quite right about it. When you feel something doesn't add up, Mr. Naruhodo, that's when you should have a good look through the court record. Not long ago, this trial nearly came to an end. Somehow we managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful as they did before. Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new info. Yes, you're so right. I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to mistake even a flicker of a reaction among these witnesses. Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as to the reason. Yeah, it's the last... It has to be the last one. Butcher. Blood-soaked hands. I think we have to present something. Oh, is it the gloves? I'll present the gloves. Blood-soaked hands?
Well, I admit that soak may be laying a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in.
Both of them, you say? Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar.
What?
Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh yes, right.
And he certainly does appear to be sizable dark color stain there, but as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
Gah! But, no, that can't be right.
So you're the liar here, then? That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said, it was in both hands. He's gonna break his cane. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is it really the truth? You know what I'm surprised right now? That Von Zieks isn't really like counter-testimony or cross-examination.
It was a simple mistake. You cannot justify accusing this man of lying. It was in both hands, it was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands. It means that there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upsetting members of society don't prevaricate.
He's claiming to have no reason to lie, but is that really the case? Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. To show this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I have evidence. My lord! Yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that would clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had a reason to lie in his testimony. Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court. That's the ledger, isn't it? This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded.
Yes, that is a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion.
The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No, well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt.
According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas, not a considerable sum of money, would you say?
Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGildy were to be found guilty of a murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. And therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts would be owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist? Ah, so you really wanted to get the accused guilty, just so the debt will cease to exist. Interesting. Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claim in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw in a devious attempt to annul the debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Gah. Gah.
Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Grr. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time in which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Or did you just commit perjury in my goddamn court?
Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony.
Alright, let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch.
A pinch?
But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGildy's hands, both of them.
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained.
So you keep saying.
Wait, if he... Would he really lie if he said he saw two gloves? Do you think someone must have, like, replaced them? I don't believe that possible. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir. On the assailant's hands. I think yes. I'm almost sure that was on both of his hands, not just one.
So they... Whoa.
This is new?
Hold up a second.
So what does this mean? If these both witnesses think they saw blood soaked, then there's something clearly wrong. What? What? Ah, my life points!
It would appear that we are going to need further testimony from all of you witnesses. This time I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? If you do perjury in my court, I will fucking kill you. All of you.
Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. What the witnesses really saw.
There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment this savage transpired, if that matters.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attacker's hands with blood on them.
I didn't actually see anything myself. No, until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains, there can be anyone inside the carriage, or we would all have seen.
Well, lo and behold, in truth of the fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated.
I apologize, my lord, but honestly, girl, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. And that much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it.
That's really not what testimony is about.
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more.
Is there something we missed?
The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witnesses' accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case.
Very well, your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Yes, my lord.
Sorry, guys. No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves. The defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record.
I'm aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw, and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands.
He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw, but why?
Your reasoning is dire.
Huh?
One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers.
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance as well, you know?
Arg, but for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could have possibly have done it. It was just trying to save us all some time.
You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Have you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty?
That's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it back. There's a picture this weekend, that's a sure thing.
A little guinea or two. Surely I will get my money back? No, you idiot. You pay your money.
I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend.
I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir.
The witnesses' scruples were not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness.
Is that really how it's supposed to work? See, okay? You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. One of Mr. Gilded's glove has any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir, and I saw the blood on both of his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see.
I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused in the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloves' hands.
There wasn't blood on his hands? This is all puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. You didn't see anything? Oh, yes, sir, that is to say, no, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was wrong for me to make stories about what I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories.
Still, to see you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir, I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you, must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? What's with that? Are you trying to be funny, Ryunosuke? Oh, please, you didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep myself from passing out, sir. Stop. Why are we making fun of how cold he is? My hand was fairly frozen solid, sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo!
Oops. My bad.
Anyway, the fact remains there can be anyone.
Okay. And everything you saw at the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus?
That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter. Which begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place.
Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Oh? Why not?
It was locked from the inside, and I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
It was locked?
That's right, it's a public bus service for pity's sake. That's what I call fair play.
Yes, I had the exact same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up the roof deck and look down longingly on the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you I wasn't looking just down. I was glaring long and hard, and that's precisely why I can tell you absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might have not been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding on this omnibus, and the witness advanced the cabin through the skylight on the floor of the upper deck, is that right?
That's right, yes.
In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you.
What?
By golly. My golly, really? Obviously at this stage we can't say for sure, but the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident there could have been another passenger in the closed cabin of the omnibus.
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend.
Damn, you're just gonna be racist, fuck it.
The prosecution demands you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here in the flesh.
Very well, we'll hope all the prosecution's demand. You identify the area of the cross-section and the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting this potential extra passenger could have been situated? No way. Could be under the seat? Huh. Trying to think right now. Could it be really under the seat? We saw a compartment there. I'm not sure if it's right. Let me present it. By both rows of the seat on the floor face on the direction of travel, whereas the seats are in closed cabin, face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin which passengers' roof deck can see the skylight, as I've drawn here. Oh, that's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one in which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if somebody had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses could have been completely unaware of it.
Grog. It's quite possible that some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponis have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity.
Huh? I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder in the British court of law. Evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger in whom you allude. Can you, Miss Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witness's roof deck? I have an inkling. I have no idea. Maybe I have an inkling. I don't know. Understand, my lord? The defense would like to put forward a name.
You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned.
Let us not delay, counsel. The defense still needs to name the passenger in the other seat.
Boof.
This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat of the omnibus cabin was obscured from view was... So, they said they saw the stabbing. I can assume it was on the left side of the picture I saw. Was Mr. McGilded? Okay, these two are above. Yeah, they were above. He was in the front. He was the driver, of course. I think it's Magnus. He was obscured from view. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that was witnesses in the roof deck failed to see has to have been Magnus McGilded. Gilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant. What? He smashed his chalice onto a bat on lights? Yo, that's another $100, bro.
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Von Zeeks.
People talk of those tiny island nations of Nefarious as having learning culture of their own. But I see they use terms ill-advisedly.
What are you trying to say?
Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloodied scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to that fact. It's the very premise on this case which is built.
But that premise may be wrong.
What?
If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it clearly creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? By defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. It claims that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim. Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glare bears the gory remains. The point is, even in the face of all this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly, they both adamantly swear that they clearly remember to have seen blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them. And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. The extraordinary. Order! What exactly are you postulating? The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused. But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't make out their faces.
Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hats did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter?
The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How could you be so sure?
Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGildy would have undoubtedly have offered to dispose that fact.
Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation.
That the accused failed to notice the presence of a true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
That is true. Would he have seen it? He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilder would have been unaware of it.
Order! There's a clear and simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused Mr. McGilder to the stand.
Well, what do you say, counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police.
But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely?
Magnus McGilder is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding info, he can be sure it would have been most deliberate act.
Counsel for defense, what is your opinion?
My lord,
should we ask Mr. Gill to testify or not? Well, we might as well. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGildy to the stand.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this.
Yes, I think we should hear what Mr. McGildy has to say. Get the man out here, I say.
It would be utterly illogical to not hear his testimony. When there's something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the Guild. Hear what patron of my favorite little park has to say. Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be hurt.
Christ, you're just bandwagoning everyone else.
Very well. The court would hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear.
Let the proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
Oh no. To be sure I have, my lord.
There are two matters in which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabinet proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police?
Begad, no, it's not my nature to hide anything at all.
Just answer the questions, please.
The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you all or keep my mouth shut?
Tell us what, Mr. McGilded?
The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage of the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
It's true. It's true?
Aye, it was me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened.
You're an accomplice? What? What? I don't know what to say. No, Magnus McGilded, that convenient excuse can't save you now.
I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Von Zeeks. Sure you'd be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken by the police? I do be having a very good reason, I assure you.
Which was?
Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and not in any way involved, you see.
What?
If the police had known the wee one was there, they have assumed she'd done it. They have hauled her into this courtroom just like myself. It's only trying to spare her that. You young hearts and young mans are easily damaged, my lord.
And who was this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know? Are you trying to commit more perjury in my court?
Well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before. It's a her?
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statement to be disregarded by the court.
You know, I wouldn't be so surprised. The urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceeding. Wait, what?
Bang! Smoke! There's fire! Someone's trying to get away! Oh, afternoon, it's no use! I can't see anything with all the smoke! What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Cover your face! Bailiff, don't let the accused escape security omnibus! I hereby call for emergency recess! Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom! Panic in the courtroom! We were hurried and removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. And amidst the scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber, we had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. Who could have done that? And it was in the middle of court too. Jeez. I'm actually curious right now. So yeah, this will be a short episode, I will say. Let's see here. I guess we'll end off today's episode. So next time on Grace A's Attorney Chronicles, we're gonna be continuing off trial part 3, and hopefully we can get to the truth of the matter and figure out what the hell that last part was. So I guess I'll see you guys all next time.